Welcome back to another Drag Race Quick Bite. I'm Jack, and it's 2 a.m. here, and I can't stop thinking about Drag Race edits. I love to edit, and I think it's one of the most important things in making good content. I mean, if I didn't edit my videos, it would just be 10 million clips of me stuttering, and you don't want that. The Drag Race edit is one of the most fun, personality-filled edits of any show that I've ever seen. At this point, it's so signature, it's so well defined that I don't think anyone could replicate it if they tried. To say the edit is always perfect though, no, it's not. There's times where the editors have to use scraps in order to make a coherent product. Sometimes it's really twisted, other times it's just funny, and I want to talk about that today. I posted in my community tab asking people about their most memorable edit moments, and I got a lot of really fun responses, so if you want to participate in something like this in the future, make sure you're subscribed. Let's start off with the editors just having a little fun. Clips in this category add on to what the queens are saying in order to make it even funnier. Things that come to mind are something like Widow Von Du making up apololy, and then they put a definition right below it.
Now they're trying to apololy for what they said.
Candy, Tina, and Mick getting chased by the bee, and they follow the bee around in a little circle. When Jan repeatedly hits the shade button and they play the sound effect every single time. Dayla calling Jocelyn's voice a dial-up modem, and then they play the dial-up modem sound.
And your voice sounds like a dial-up modem.
Every single time that Elderbarge is brought up and Crystal Method is in the room.
Sing a song. The rhythm of the night. Vanjie meet Elderbarge. No, I mean not Elderbarge. How do you think Elderbarge would move? Probably.
I really do think that season 12 in particular had one of the most fun edits of the show. Juju and Miss Cracker's pillow fight in All Stars 5.
I'm knocking these bitches out.
I'm from Boston, we don't fuck around.
There are a ton more that can come up with this category, I just can't think of them right now, but the thing that you need to know about these types of moments is that the editors are really having fun with it. There's a standard with every Drag Race edit, but when they do things like this, it kind of subverts our expectations and plays with what we are comfortable with, and it makes it even funnier because of it. Something like Jan hitting the button over and over again and they play the sound effect every single time, it reminds us that there is a person behind the screen editing the episodes. These types of moments are the most unique because we aren't expecting them at all to happen, but when they do, it's so fun and it's so welcomed. Moving on to moments that are more similar to the last one, but stay in the realm of standard Drag Race editing, we have comedic cuts. This is any moment on a show where there may be a queen talking or doing something, and then it cuts to someone else to kind of make an emotion happen. A lot of the time it's comedic. The reason I'm doing this video is because the most recent episode of All Star 7 with the moment with Shay in the workroom being annoyed by everyone, that's like the example of a shady cut. It's so funny.
We're giving graduation speeches, but your girls aren't getting out of school. That's all we got, so we're gonna stop.
Other examples are them talking about pride and being gay, and then it cuts to Maddie. Utica telling Liv to her face that she's gonna do well in the challenge, and then it cuts to a confessional of Utica being like, I'm most worried for Liv.
Get it. I'm very confident that you're gonna do very well in this challenge. I think I'm the most worried about Olivia.
One of my personal favorites when there's some sort of tension in season 9 and then it's cut with Trinity ripping off Valentina's little black bar. One of the classics, Tatiana talking about how Raven thinks she's shit, and then Raven was like, I would never say that, and then it cuts to Raven saying that.
Shit. That I'm like nothing.
I would never say that. Her interview was shit, her look was shit, her book cover was shit, her trying to launch and sell her book to the judges was shit. She's shit.
These types of cuts are just so good because like the last ones, they subvert our expectations, but unlike the last ones, it's not for a fun way. It's more like, oh my god, I can't believe they're actually doing this. Most of the time it's twisted, but it conveys the emotion that it needs to convey. These two first choices of editing are mostly fun, and I just like to point them out because I think it really makes the show that entertaining. But now we get into some more unforgivable things. Next, let's bring up the shady cuts that were very, very present in the golden age. They've gotten a lot better at hiding them, or maybe they've just kind of stopped doing them in the recent years, but back in like season 5, oh my god, every episode felt so twisted with these edits. We have things like Jinx saying they have a crush on Ivy, and then Ivy saying I love you, but they were actually saying I love you to their mom, not Jinx.
I have a crush on Ivy Winters. I love you.
It really felt like every single coming up moment was twisted in some way to make you think one thing, but then when you actually get to that part of the episode, it's something completely different. That's still something that happens relatively frequently today, but it seems like it's a lot more general, while here it feels like it's targeted to people that don't actually receive these types of critiques. Like Santino saying it's the ugliest dress he's ever seen, and then the cuts to Alaska and Roxy, even though it was actually said to Alyssa. Like, why even do that, you know? And then you dissect some of the most iconic untucked moments, and then you're like, oh my god, these are not really well edited together. Like,
girl, if I was gonna judge anyone, I'd judge you on that body where the shoulders should match them hips, but they don't, so.
Get her, Jade.
Girl, you had rolls all over the place in the back. It was disgusting.
Back rolls.
or the except for Serena, obviously every single girl's voice was played over and over again when it wasn't actually happening. It kind of added dramatic effect, and I feel like that one was kind of known to be edited, but even still, it's not a very good edit.
Except for Serena.
Guys, no. I request the floor, ladies, and I'll defend myself a little bit. No.
And this moment right here from All Stars 1 kind of embodies a lot of this category and just kind of how the edit was in the Golden Age. We have Manila doing a super light read on Jujubee and then Juju responding in a confessional, but the confessional is so general that it could kind of go anywhere, so it's pretty clear that Juju wasn't actually responding to Manila in this situation.
I look like I work at the mall compared to you guys. You do, girl. Oh, bitch.
And that's what you can say for a lot of the edits around this time. They just had to keep the pace up because it was only 40-minute episodes, so where they had to cut corners, it may seem a little choppy, but we have to commend them for getting the job done. What's the most unforgivable that has still persisted all the way to today is the audio editing on the show and how questionable it could be sometimes. Sometimes queens say something just not fast enough, or maybe they say something that goes better somewhere else, so they do some cutting in order to get the point across a lot better. Every editor does this. I literally just did it in the last audio clip, so I feel their pain when they don't have something that's really workable. But to me, the best way to get through pain is to laugh it off, and we gotta laugh at some of these choices. The most obvious examples are Tatiana saying Mexican. Here's my impression of Diabetes talking about her runway. This entire outfit is made out of recycled materials. The jacket is a thrifted jacket. The crown is a duct tape roll covered in construction paper. I'm wearing 11-inch platform heels. This takes me from 6'3" to 7'3". Well, 7'2" if you're doing the math correctly. It is the most iconic yet awful showings of the Drag Race audio editing, and I hope nothing like this ever happens again. Sometimes they throw words in to try and get points across when they weren't actually really said, like we can see in season 12's Untucked, where Britta just has this disembodied Aiden that really doesn't fit that well.
Who do you think should go home? Aiden.
Another one that was brought up a lot back in All Stars 4 was Trinity saying, "These bitches are turning it out, girl."
These bitches are turning it out, girl.
I can recreate these all day. I think they're just so funny. Again, it's clear that they're twisting a lot of words or taking words from other places and putting them into situations where they may not belong, but for the most part, it's just to provide context, and they're not trying to like twist the words in order to make fights or make someone come off a lot worse than they actually are, except for that disembodied Aiden. That was so weird. But then you have to question that a lot of these audio clips are just like the buffer clips, like, oh, they're moving from one place to another, like this clip of Angeria.
Let's listen to this.
Because we're getting to the point of the competition where the judges have to notice you.
So did no one else give a good take? Why even put it in there then? Because, you know, there's some times where they don't have these buffer clips and it's completely fine. We still follow the story. It's like, if you're gonna have that obvious of audio editing, maybe just don't put the clip in. Now we get to a really fun one that I enjoy so much. Top RPDR talks about it a decent amount. It's the teleportation skills of some of these queens. I love to say that drag queens are superheroes because of all the things that they go through, but they're actually superheroes for all the abilities they have to teleport. Something like Juju telling a really good joke and then teleporting over to laugh at her joke, that was really cool of her to do. Or the completely distracting editing and some of these amazing lip syncs, like Miss You Much, such a good lip sync, but then they're just halfway across the stage when they were right next to each other. It really makes no sense. There's also that silly silly clip of Max trying to sneak back in the workroom after she was just eliminated. How did they not catch that? And of course, we have to talk about the shape-shifting that went on in the earlier seasons. I'm pretty sure they put a ban on queens trying to shapeshift later on, and so we don't get that often, but Shangela shapeshifted so quickly in her confessional about Stacy. Wow, like, you just gotta admire the powers here. Again, these types of clips that are taken from different points in time are just to provide context and give a better narrative, so you can't be too mad at them for doing something like this, except when it's like so noticeable. My least favorite is definitely the missing much lip sync. I have this like thing with continuity and like where people are placed. So when in a performance, when queens are just like jumping all over the place, not like tricks jumping, like editing jumping, I just catches onto me and it annoys me a lot. Next, I just have some miscellaneous points such as sound effects. I already went over in my roast video a little while back that All Stars 4 was just so full of sound effects in every single moment, and that persisted with queens just talking. Like Latrice basically had every single thing she said topped off with like a shady sound effect, which was so weird because Latrice is so loved.
I have no hard feelings towards Monique. However, you did what you did. So it's time to show you what mama's made of.
But this one right here, this is my favorite moment of all time that no one talks about because I think it's just so subtle. I used to watch the Bitch Perfect performance from season 8 a lot because it was one of the only things on YouTube and it was just so catchy. So there's a moment with Kim Chi. You know Kim Chi. Kim Chi's a little clumsy, a little, you know, slipping and falling. There's a sound effect that they use for someone like Chi Chi. Well, let's play it. It's like a metal cymbal sound effect to signify, oh, this is a trick going on. This is something that the queen is doing to their body, and it's like a little crazy.
Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen?
They played the same sound effect for Kim Chi just turning. I don't know if they meant to do this to imply that her turning is like a big risky thing for her because we know she's a little clumsy, or it was just like, oh, you know, a moment that's happening, she's moving. It just seems like they're trying to play it up as if this is like, whoa, 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 she's doing a big trick for Kim Chi. Like discussed at the beginning of the video, I think sound effects can add a lot to the entertainment value of the show if there's a good balance. If they're used too subtly, it's kind of boring, but if they're used way too much like in All Stars 4, it feels like they're pushing a little too much and the audience can't think for themselves. I also want to briefly discuss how much I dislike the editing for Down Under. No hate to any of the editors of this season. I think they were doing a lot of it remotely, so that's why it may have came out a little rough around the edges. Let me play you a couple clips from Down Under to just show you how weird the editing can be at times.
Snatch Game episode 2, what the fuck?
Yes.
First off, the music can be so loud and it can change like at the drop of a hat, which is so distracting. Because they were doing it remotely, they got a lot of celebrity cameos, but they were like insert clips, so things just come off really awkward.
Taika, was this a mistake?
Help out there, Lady Lancelot. You're our only hope. Seriously.
Right, so Taika, what do you think?
Okay, that's enough.
And I feel like a lot of the time they don't let jokes sit or things land because they're already moving on to the next thing.
If a setter and I don't step in and help her out with these, this is gonna be a car crash.
I'm that bitch that's number
I won the mini challenge. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it's gotta be.
You can't just put your foot down if it's not gonna work.
The whole scene comes off as rushed and it has like so many things it's trying to force into like a 30-second period, and none of them come out very cohesive. And that's just how a lot of the editing was for Down Under. It was so distracting for so much of the runtime. If the elusive season 2 ever does come out, I really hope that this is something they brush up on a little bit. This video was a little all over the place, kind of ironic for the thing that we were discussing. Again, regardless of the quality of editing on Drag Race, I still respect the hell out of people for editing a multi-camera show like this. It's a tough thing to do, and it's something I'd love to do in the future, but just for now, I'm analyzing it instead. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have a deep dive coming out next Saturday, but in between, I think I'm going to upload one more video and do some streaming, so hopefully you guys check that out. I'll see you guys very soon with another thing.
Max, are you okay?
So I can't quite recall of a night sensation.
Leaving my friendships behind like Willow and Carrie